We're not just talking about a new piece of tech here. We're talking about a whole new frontier, a revolution that's happening right under our noses. But more importantly, we're talking about where you might fit into all of this. This is your guide to a career in the quantum revolution. So let's start with a question that kind of breaks your brain a little. What if you could solve a problem in minutes that would take our best supercomputers 100 million years to crack? This isn't science fiction, by the way. That's a real projection from Google's quantum AI lab. That's the kind of power we are on the verge of unlocking. But what even is quantum computing? Let's forget the super complex physics for a second. IBM has this brilliant analogy. Think about a giant impossible maze. A normal computer, it has to try every single path, one by one, hitting dead end after dead end. A quantum computer, though, it's like it can levitate above the maze and see all the possible paths at once. It sees the whole landscape, and that's how it finds the answer exponentially faster. And because of that incredible potential, the demand for people who can work on this stuff is just exploding. Get this number. In just the last 3 years, job openings in the quantum field have skyrocketed by over 400%. This isn't some far-off future trend. The hiring boom is happening right now. Which brings us to what I'm calling the quantum gold rush, because that's exactly what it is. It's a mad dash not just to build the technology, but to find the brilliant people who can build it, run it, and figure out what to do with it. And here's the money behind that gold rush. Today, it's a respectable $10 billion industry. But look at what Boston Consulting Group is forecasting. The moment we get stable quantum computers, this market could jump to $850 billion a year. By 2035, we're talking about a $1.3 trillion industry. That's trillion with a T. That's the prize everyone is chasing. You can't have a $1 trillion industry without people, right? You need a lot of them. Projections show that 250,000, that's 250,000, quantum jobs will need to be filled by 2030. That's not a skills gap, that's a canyon. And it's an opportunity waiting for people like you to step in. Now, hearing a number like 250,000 jobs, I know what you're probably thinking. Yeah, but I'm not a quantum physicist. And honestly, that is the single biggest myth we absolutely have to bust. Yep, there it is, the big one. The idea that to even get a foot in the door, you need a PhD in quantum mechanics. It's the #1 reason that so many talented engineers and developers don't even bother looking. But here's the thing, it's just not true. And you don't have to take my word for it. Look at this data from Riverlane, a major quantum company. Only 5% of their team joined with a specifically quantum degree. The other 95%, they came from other fields with skills that were transferable. I mean, that one stat just blows the whole myth out of the water. So if it's not just physicists, who do they need? Well, pretty much everyone across the tech stack. On the software side, they're desperate for algorithm engineers and machine learning scientists. For hardware, they need optical engineers and lab technicians. And for infrastructure, they need people who know high-performance computing and how to make all these complex systems talk to each other. It's an entire ecosystem. Okay, so we've seen the opportunity, we've busted the biggest myth. Let's get practical. How do you actually get from where you are now to a career in quantum? Let's map out a real path. We can really break it down into 3 pretty simple steps. First, figure out the right educational path for you. Second, really zero in on the essential skills you'll need. And third, find ways to get some real hands-on experience. It's a totally manageable roadmap. So step 1, education. If you're a student right now, a bachelor's in pretty much any STEM field is a great foundation. But what if you're already a professional? You do not need to go back and get a whole new degree. You can pivot by using specialized online courses or graduate certificates to add that quantum layer on top of the expertise you already have. And look, this actually works. This isn't just theory. Meet Michael Torres. He was a regular software developer, zero quantum background. He didn't quit his job. He just started taking online courses in his spare time. He used his existing skills as a developer and eventually became a quantum algorithm developer. People are making this exact jump right now. Okay, on to step 2, skills. What should you actually focus on learning? Well, Python is king. It's the main language for this field. Then you absolutely have to get your hands dirty with the big quantum frameworks, like Qiskit from IBM or Cirq from Google. If you want to get more specialized, C++ and Rust are in demand. And underpinning it all, you've got to have a solid handle on linear algebra and complex math. Those are the non-negotiables. All right, you've picked a path, you're learning the skills. Now for the million-dollar question. How do you actually break in and land that first job? So here's some inside baseball from recruiters in the field. First, don't try to hide that you're new to quantum. Instead, you need to highlight all the skills you're bringing from your current field. And a good cover letter, it can make all the difference. Show them you've actually researched their company. Show them you're curious by playing with their open source tools. That kind of proactive interest really stands out. And I absolutely love this piece of advice because it's about mindset. Quantum is a team sport. You'll have software engineers working next to physicists. Antoine Martin, who made the pivot himself, says you have to be okay with not knowing everything. You have to be humble and you have to have a relentless desire to learn. It's less about what you know and more about how you solve problems with others. So let's just zoom out for a second. Why does this matter so much? Because when you join the quantum field, you're not just taking a job, you're actually stepping onto the field of a global race that is going to define technology, economics, and even national security for the next century. And this isn't just a race between companies like Google and IBM. This is a race between nations. Reports like this one from India's government show that countries are treating quantum technology as a massive strategic priority. The US, China, Europe, they are all pouring billions into this. It's become a geopolitical game for what comes next. And the stakes, they really couldn't be higher. A powerful quantum computer could break the encryption that protects literally everything. Our bank accounts, government secrets, you name it. It could change how intelligence agencies work, how new military tech is designed. It could even be used for economic warfare. This technology will fundamentally change the meaning of national security. And that right there is the most exciting part of this whole thing. As Dr. Michelle Simmons says, the rules for this technology haven't been written yet. The ethics, the applications, the standards, it's all being figured out right now. The people who join today aren't just employees, they're pioneers. They're the ones who will get to define how this incredible tool is built and used. Which really just brings us to one final thought. The quantum revolution isn't coming, it's here. And it needs engineers, it needs developers, it needs project managers, it needs communicators, it needs people like you. So the only real question left is, what part will you play?